of Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. NL East champs. Wow. It's a big deal, man. Winning the division is a big deal. And I would love the celebration last night at Citizens Bank Park. It was a joyous occasion. And the division, and I know, like, you still got work to do, and the Dodgers are a half game up on you. But let's take a moment and celebrate this Phillies season. This season has been special. We'll find out about Red October. They're in a very good spot to really make a deep run. But let's not talk about that yet. Let's talk about this season. It's been a special year. They got off to the torrid start. We were, if you remember, after the first two series, we were down. Oh my God, slow start. They're 2-4. And then they went on that torrid run. Then, of course, there was the dip, and everybody got worried. And then they're out of it. And it's been an incredible bunch, a lovable bunch. You saw last night a glimpse into the celebration of how this team loves each other. It is beautiful. It is everything in sports that you love. The fact that you got a clubhouse that tight, a team that good, it was beautiful, man. All right, I cannot wait for Red October. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out the credit union difference, truemark.com/PHLY. Listen to this, all right? So if you go, I'm just going to go on my lifetime. I'm a little boy. The Phillies were good. And the Phillies won a division. 76. They play the Reds, the Big Red Machine in the NLCS. 77, 78, they play the Dodgers, right? Black Friday and all that stuff. 80, they win the division again, and then they win the World Series, beating the Astros and the Royals. 83, the Wheeze Kids, they win the division. Then you got to go all the way to 1993 and the year of the blue snow, when they go crazy and they are able to beat the Braves and the Phillies win a division, of course, lose to the Blue Jays in the World Series. Then you got to go all the way up to 07, right? 14-year drought, watching the Braves own the NL East. Well, the Phillies begin their run. 07, of course, you lose to the Colorado Rockies. And then 08, they win the World Series. And 09 was the Giants, and 09 was the World Series against the Yankees, and 10 was the Yankees, and 11 they win the World Series, and they win the division, and that, of course, was 1-0 against the Cardinals. And then you got to go all the way, think about this, all the way to this year. Almost another 13 years, right? Until you win a division. It's a special thing. And last night, perfect. The script went perfect. Cubs in town. There's Schwarber hitting moonshots. JT, bomb. Nola on the mound. Nola was terrific. 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 7 Ks. He was terrific. Castellanos, another hit, 2 for 3. He's heating up. It was a great night, celebratory night. Cannot get enough of the Fighting Phillies. I'm ready for Red October. I know you are. It was a just special evening, a special group. Winning the division is a big deal. You play 162 games, all right? It's a long-ass season. And to go and the type of ball that they played, they deserve to be lauded. I got to tell you, I just, this team, and watching them together, they're very empowering, right? They get you excited. We can't wait for it, man. Red October's here. The town's ready for it. You can feel it. There is a special kind of vibe in the air. Baseball, man, when the weather turns chilly, right? Baseball is the best. It really is. It's a great night, and I'm very excited for you. We got lots to get to today. Of course, all the Eagles stuff going on. Zach Berman, he's got a book out. We'll talk to Zachariah. It's a great one. You're going to want to read it, all about the Eagles. Then we have the Brain, and then we have Fran Duffy to go over the tape, and then we'll have Todd Zolecki at 10:30 to talk some fighting Phils and the division. Now, my cohorts, there they are. JP, John Zapata, VG, my is Greg Caputo. Happy division, man. This is unbelievable.
Oh, my God. Cuz I was down there last night. Oh, my God. And this is like the first time I was at a monumental baseball game.
You were there, man.
It was awesome, man. The minute, obviously, you get the last out, everyone goes crazy. And just seeing the Fanatic waving the 2024 pennant, it was awesome. I'll never forget that moment, honestly.
Dude, it was. I'm glad you were down there. You got to experience it. You could feel that. That ballpark is magical. I know it's a broken record at times, but it's a magical place. It's got the best vibes in the city is in that ballpark.
That stuff is real, cuz like in the second inning, I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, babe, like I think tonight's the night. I think we're gonna be here for a monumental Phillies game, and they did it. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was set up nicely, man.
Yeah.
Like
Nola was great.
How about Schwarber? Amazing. He is. How about this in the history of baseball?
Yeah,
he is the first player in 2 seasons to lead off 100 times in the season, knock in 100 runs, score 100 runs. Pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, that's my leadoff hitter.
I know it is.
Leadoff hitter.
I know you love him.
Yeah, man.
He's the best, though. Listen, we got to do a Schwarber ode to Schwarbs
for sure,
because he is the glue in that clubhouse.
Yeah,
too.
this team without him is not this team.
Like he's such a great figure in that clubhouse, man.
Even when they interviewed him, like his celebration, he's just cool. And, he had talked about the struggles, and he's like, every time we walk out as a unit, we believe we're winning every time we hit the field. We might be struggling times, but we believe we're winning. Estevez, dude's blown away by this environment. He's like, they treat me like family here. The work ethic here. Everyone's so professional. They grind it out. They put the work in even when things aren't going right. And, dude, Nola is just – his stats in these clinching games is unreal.
Yeah.
You said it yesterday, bro.
There's 7 times he's been in clinching games. 44.1 innings pitched, an ERA of 1.62, 46 strikeouts and 7 walks. I mean, just a stud in these games. And they interview him, and he's just like, that's a cool stat. Didn't even know. He's just all subdued.
No, this is a great group.
There's not an unlikable one amongst them.
I completely agree.
It's so
we
talk about
baseball's
a lot of JOs.
Yeah, dude.
High JO factor.
Yeah, there are a lot of.
But it's interesting. The teams, like, obviously you have to win. Like, it's a prerequisite, right? If you win, we're gonna love you. But not all winning teams, like that '93 team, they were not. They were JOs.
They're crumb bums.
They were bum. They were crumb bums.
Yeah,
right.
They're not nice
they
guys.
were JOs. Like they were not. Certain teams have certain personalities. This team is just a lovable squad, man.
I do like the mix of the young guys with the vets too. I mean, like just seeing like Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, those guys just having fun out there, and then obviously like the vets kind of feed off of that too. This team has been a lot of fun.
And can we sit here right now and can we laud Topper?
Yes.
And can we give him his flowers?
Yes.
Listen, managing in Philadelphia, we love this sport. Right, we're going to second guess every move. We're going to micromanage ourselves as fans. But this is a testimony to Rob Thompson. This whole season, because managing a group of athletes, especially got some big-time ball players on this team, a lot of money tied up in this team. When you're managing this group, it's tough. Like, you got to pull the right strings at every piece, push the right buttons, all that stuff, whether it's off days, but you're managing this thing. You're managing the personality. We talk about the clubhouse, and yeah, it's special because of the players, but the manager has to make a culture, has to provide a culture for players to succeed in. I mean, that was one of the great gifts that Charlie Manuel had, right? And Rob Thompson, who's been in the game forever, right, has that same gift. And, listen, decisions and moves, we're gonna always micromanage. And playoff comes, but there is something to be said. And he deserves a lot of praise today when you go on and you have that kind of season, right? Like they are a half game out of the best record in the National League. That says something, and that talks directly to the manager.
Just look at when Topper became the manager, right? Like we thought a high profile manager like Joe Girardi would be able to get the job done. And here comes Topper. And like the thing with Girardi was like everyone felt uptight. Topper was in, everyone was more relaxed and loose, and they started playing off of it. And look at this run that we've been on. He's got an NLCS in the book. He was in a World Series. Yeah. Now NL East title. Like
there's something to be said about being calm, right?
Yeah.
About not being. And you're right, Girardi was tight.
Yeah.
Right? We go through the managers since Charlie. Ryan Sandberg
robot
he was a mannequin. He was in the Macy's window like that.
Yes.
He had no personality whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
Like you go through it, you go through the managers. I mean, Kapler was just silly, right? Like he was a clown.
Talk about analytics, cuz.
I didn't want to talk, like seriously, he was just absurd. And the stuff that he said, and guys looking at him sideways, and Bryce was laughing about certain things, like
the bamboo.
Like come on, I get it being eccentric, but that's being just weird for being sake of weird, right? And Girardi was exactly that. He was a mook.
But we thought he was the guy, though.
Oh, of course. Oh, listen, coming from the Yankees, we all did.
Yeah.
We all did. And then all of a sudden, here's Topper. Nobody wanted Charlie.
Right.
Everybody wanted Leland, right? Nobody wanted him. And what did Charlie do? He won. He provided a culture. He set up a culture. And the same thing with Topper. Yeah. He comes out, and the next thing you know, they're look how good they are, right? Like
we gave them room. Like he sees their personalities. Gave them room to breathe.
Exactly.
Let Schwarber be Schwarber. And Topper seems like a fun guy. I think he's got a little fun side to him.
He does.
And think about through that struggle period, he's getting crushed.
Yeah, dude.
Think about the guy across the street with a couple calls, and he gets crushed, and he goes nuts trying to defend himself. Topper just plays it cool, man. So there's props to that. This is not an easy city to be a manager in.
You're right. I mean, you're a coach in this town, and you got to have like lizard skin, right? Like you got to have snake skin to do. And you're right. He doesn't. He never gets defensive.
Right? Never.
Right. Not one question does he get defensive. I mean, and if you ask him a question, he'll give you an honest answer.
Right, but he doesn't drag it on with all this verbal garbage to try and convince you he was right. This is what I did. I thought this was right at the time.
Yeah, and that tells you something, right? Like where it's like, listen, this is what I believe. It's the same thing. At a certain point in life, you go, listen, this is all my experience.
Yes.
This is my opinion. This is my decision. This is what I'm thinking. And if you disagree, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. And I don't need to try to convince you. I don't really care. I need to just do what I do. After all these years, he spent a lifetime in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We actually have some video of Topper from last night if you guys want to.
All right. Good job. Here you go, Frazier.
Significance for this group to get at least one.
Well, I think it just, again, it just speaks to how well these guys prepare and compete, how tough they are, how resilient they are, the depth that we have in the organization to help out when guys go down, and it's really significant for me.
It's just simple. We saw yesterday. He's a winner. He's a winner. You're a freaking winner. He's a freaking winner. Like, he's just like, he's saying what he thinks about these guys, and that's it.
No, but I mean, like, even like when we heard him talking about like Kellen Moore, it's like that was Kellen Moore's play call, and it was a lot of and like it wasn't about we. Look at him talking about his team. He's giving the praise and the flowers to everybody.
I know. Yeah. I know. I mean, and that's kind of, again, we talk about providing a culture, like establishing. Now you got great players that buy in, but you as a manager, you're the leader, right? Like you are. You have to. It's a long year. Look at the funk they went in.
That was a long funk.
Now, Dombrowski said something during that.
No, he's a beast too, man.
Oh, he's a complete beast.
He got the backwards hat on party
No,
last
listen.
night.
Dombrowski is the truth, right?
Yeah.
He's a fascinating dude because I read something from him about how he was looking at how they would respond to the funk, and he was glad he went through it because some teams never get out of it.
Yeah.
Some teams have a great first 4 months of the year, and then when they hit the skids and they spiral, it goes sideways, right? And they never get it back. They got it back. And he's there. Look what he did with the bullpen and Estevez. That was a great move. Like that's somebody that really pays attention, that understands a clubhouse, understands a ball club, needs how you do it.
And he's constantly, like, every year, like, you feel like there's new guys in the bullpen. He's constantly trying to reinvest back into that bullpen.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of why we're having so much success.
I mean, we were underwhelmed, but I mean, look where they are, and he kept all the prospects. He did a great job. And props to Middleton. I mean, they interviewed him. I think T-Mac was like, is it World Series or bust? And he's like, well, no, because that means it's World Series or it's over. If we don't win the World Series, we're going to go next year and try and win it. And the year after that. And this guy's going to eat a lot of Taiwan Walker money next year, probably.
I love to hear that.
I'll be honest with you. I love that.
Yes.
All right? Because to me, I get my joy in sustainability, right? Like, it goes without saying, we all want a parade, all right? But we all understand, you're all mature enough to get, hey, you're not going to win it every year. This is how the games are weird. Strange things happen. Stuff happens. But I just need you to be in a contender, a serious contender. And that's what Middleton is hell-bent on, is sustaining the run, making sure you're a contender year in, year out. That's a big deal.
Yeah, he's gonna spend money next year and the year after. There's a lot of owners who don't. They're like, we're maxed out, man. They have a hefty payroll right now.
We actually have some audio from him last night as well.
All right, let's hear from him.
I'm a little old for this. I'm going to be going home in a little while. Good watching the young players. Yeah. Kind of like going to a wedding, and watching the young people dance at midnight. You don't get out and dance on the dance floor? No, not anymore. We ain't going to bed tonight.
And then there's one more.
I love Marsh.
There's one more that I think everyone's been hearing.
Yeah, here we go.
John, come on over here. Remember in spring training, the man said he wants his trophy. We're going to get it.
Get the man is believing trophy back.
You absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, too. People crack me up. They go, "Oh, you don't need to celebrate that." And it's
dude.
Seriously, don't be a wet blanket. All right,
Win a division.
A long season, and you win a division. I just went chapter and verse on the division titles.
Yeah.
All right, over the last 50 years, there is 6, 9, 12 of them.
Right.
In 50 years.
Yeah, we should celebrate this.
It's been 13 years.
Right. Celebrate
There's kids in high school who have not seen this.
Exactly.
Come on.
Winning the division, I'm sorry, is a big deal.
100%.
I know it's about the NLCS and the pennant and then the World Series. We all get that. But you play 162 and you win a division, go crazy.
Yeah.
Go nuts. Enjoy it.
As a Philly sports fan, take these little wins. Like, this one is monumental. Like, you mentioned it, 2011. I was in high school when we won the last division title.
Yeah, there you go.
And Bryce Harper talked about it, too. This division's not always easy. Like, you've had so many good pitchers, so many good hitters go through in this division, and you won it finally. And the last 2 years was fun, but we didn't have division wins. This year we did.
It is. The last series is going to be a race because we got the Cubbies. Dodgers are going toe-to-toe with the Padres.
So, Padres...
dude. And then
Dodgers,
they get the Rockies.
Right, and then in Colorado for 3. Phil's, of course, 2 more with the Cubs, all Thursday.
Yep.
And then at Washington. So the Nats.
So you got to imagine the Dodgers,
God
going to lose
bless
1
the
or 2.
Nationals.
Yeah.
The Nationals are the greatest gift ever. They always keep on giving us. They're like our farm system.
Bryce, Trey.
Oh, dude.
They are. They're the Phillies farm system.
Juan
They're
Soto
nasty.
coming soon. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, and the celebrations, the in 08, Washington.
Yeah.
Thank God for the
I think
Nationals.
it all started with an attitude. Remember they would block out our
Yeah,
zip codes so we couldn't
yeah.
buy tickets down there?
Yeah,
Oh, my
attitude.
God.
That was the best.
Corny.
Are you kidding me?
CBP
That
South.
building's got to be all Phillies fans for those last 3 games. I might have to think about going down.
Yeah, it's a great road trip.
Let's go down, cuz.
Especially if we get to, if there's a possibility,
Yes.
of clinching the number one overall seed down there.
Yeah.
Well, man, let me ask you, because it's an interesting topic, too. Do you want that bye week?
Yeah.
Do I want it?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
See, all right.
No, all right. So I get your point, and Ruben talked to us about this a long time ago. I get it. Baseball's a game where you want to play it every day, and like if you don't see live pitching every day, there's a bit of I got to get back into the groove. So I get your point, but the more times, the more series you play in, the more you're exposed, the more you're pitching. So yeah, the bye is key. And they're going to have the bye because Milwaukee's going to be the 3 seed.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the bye, and I think you need the bye. I do. I don't want to risk playing a short series no matter what. We saw the unthinkable last year of Arizona coming in. You needed 1 victory coming home, and you lost both games. I don't want to go anywhere near a wild card series.
Definitely want that home field advantage, but like I love their attitude too, and like they want it too, and I love that they want that as well. But it's just like we've seen it before, like after All-Star break, like that lull in the schedule, it can really mess with the hitters, especially.
It does. It does. I mean, that's the truth.
We'll see.
I will say this. I want Phil's Dodgers.
Yeah, I think we all
I
do.
think Phil's Dodgers is epic baseball.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's an epic series.
MLB wants Phil's Dodgers.
Phil's
Exactly.
Dodgers here. Otani. This is a haunted house for Otani.
We're gonna break TV
We got
records.
the CBP, the Ravine.
Oh my God.
It'll be unbelievable.
Hey, to get back to your thing about having a division, it's the first time in 4,755 days they are NL East champs.
Wow.
It's
4,700 days.
a lot of days.
That's a lot of days.
A lot of hours. A lot of days. All right. Do me a favor. Tell us about some Shady Rays.
Yeah,
JP.
cuz guys, listen, Philadelphia is shining a little bit brighter here today. I know the weather doesn't look like it, but we are NL East champs, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and like I don't know if you guys saw what the clubhouse yesterday. There was a lot of champagne, being sprayed around. Maybe some Shady Rays would have helped them out. I don't know, but listen, for you guys, it definitely would help you out because with Shady Rays, number one, I always talk about it in this day and age where we're all trying to save a buck or two. It's great to have Shady Rays because you have a high-quality sunglass and you're not breaking the bank. And if you happen to lose or break it, you're going to Xfinity after last night, you're having a lot of fun, you have your Shady Rays on your head, boom, it drops on the floor, now it breaks. You need another pair. Well, Shady Rays has you covered. They will replace that first pair for you for free. Nobody's doing that. And I love this product, but don't take it from me. Take it from over 300,000 people that have rated Shady Rays 5 stars or more, and you guys can as well. Be style and profile with Shady Rays here today. If you use the promo code PHLY when you go to the checkout page, you'll get 35% off your polarized sunglasses. Get your Shady Rays here today. Use our promo code PHLY, and you too will be style and profile with our friends over at Shady Rays.
All right, VG.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's Rite Aid.
Rite Aid.
You want to do the Rite Aid? Yeah,
Right, let's do Rite
VG's
Aid.
don't glad.
Let's do it. All right, let's talk real quick about Rite Aid, ladies and gentlemen. All right, listen, Rite Aid.
Rite Aid.
it's our
True Bark. All of our sponsors. Thank
They're
you.
the
We
best.
love you.
They're the absolute
Primo.
best. Special friends over at Rite Aid. Listen, it is fall, and I know a lot of us didn't think that we would be getting their allergies, including our man, the Cuz, but they're here. All right, you guys are getting that runny nose, your eyeballs are itching, right? You got that head fog. You feel like you've been in this fog for 12 months. But listen, with Rite Aid, head on over. It's your local pharmacy. They have everything. I'm talking everything you need when it comes to allergies, but not just allergies. They're a one-stop shop, whether it be drinks, food, makeup, cosmetics, whatever it may be. Rite Aid is there for you as well. Make sure you guys are downloading the Rite Aid app. It's fantastic. They give you different deals. They'll even give you pollen alerts when the pollen pollen levels are going up way too high, so you'll be aware of when the pollen is high in your area so you can avoid those allergies. Transfer your prescriptions to Rite Aid today. Just go to riteaid.com/transfer. Rite Aid caring pharmacists are ready to answer your questions and help you stay healthy. Get your prescriptions along with anything at Rite Aid you may need, including over-the-counter medicines, household products, cosmetics, and much, much more. Just ask your pharmacy team for details today. Restrictions do apply. And as always, we thank our friends over at Rite Aid.
All right. Rite Aid. Here we go. All right. Coming up shortly, we will visit with Zach Berman. All right. Zachariah, who's got a new book. Get in here, Zach. Get in here. Give me that book. I want to see it.
It's not even a fast walker.
I know. Hustle, soldiers, man. What are you doing? You're not hustling. Yeah, I tell my kids, hustle.
I got ad reads.
Hustle. Let me see it.
What's going on?
Look at this. Look at this. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Zachariah. Look at this. This is awesome. The franchise. Philadelphia Eagles. A curated history of the birds. Forward by Malcolm Jenkins.
Nice.
Congratulations, my brother. A labor of love.
Writing book is not an easy thing, man. We know that. So
no, having written is far better than writing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know that line.
Yes.
You know that line. That is fantastic. Where can everybody get it?
Anywhere books are sold. It's available on Amazon, local bookstores. I did a book signing at the Barnes & Noble on Chestnut Street on this past Friday with Ray Didinger.
Nice.
And so there's some signed copies there. But wherever you get your books in the area, it's available there. And if you send me a direct message on social media, I will send you a signed copy. We can work that out.
Did you work on the autographing, or did you do some practice on it?
Yeah, so big time. Growing up, I always kind of like.
Did you?
I always pretended I was like the center fielder for the Phillies.
Yeah.
And so, but I've worked on like writing it quickly as I get through these lines for sure.
Nice. What was the So you interviewed a bunch of people. Who was the most interesting interview you did?
I would have to say Jeffrey Lurie, just because if I'm covering this 25-year period, he was there the whole time. So the perspective he had from the building of the stadiums and the practice facility to hiring Andy to the chip era, the Super Bowl, all the different quarterbacks, he was able to speak to the range that and the reality is I've covered 13 of these years, but there were 12 of these years that I had to account for that I wasn't on the ground floor, and he helped me with that. And I'll say I'm not just buttering up Anthony, but the Sunday Pilgrimage was a big part of that 2004 a part of this book.
That team.
Yeah, because I wasn't there. You were embedded with them. And so this is the start of the Andy Reid chapter is actually an anecdote that from the foreword of Anthony's book.
Okay.
And so, but I would say Jeffrey Lurie, that interview was most important.
What's that like? Are you in his office, in his house?
It was during the summer, so he was out of town. That was over Zoom.
Okay.
And we did 2 different sessions. And it was great. And there were a lot of questions that, I think there were things he was fairly honest on. For instance, he brought up at one point, he said he hadn't told the story before, that in 1999, we all know how, the Saints were offering the big package to move up to get Ricky Williams at the number 2 pick. And Jeffrey wasn't involved in like the trade negotiations, right? That's Andy Reid, Joe Banner. But he said
I think that was
who's at the time Tom Modrak.
Tom Modrak from the Steelers.
Yep.
Tommy, yeah.
But Tom Benson, the owner of the Saints, called Jeffrey directly the day of the draft to try to work out a deal, just the two of them, right? Like, take this offer. And at the time, as we all know, 1999, the Eagles weren't very good, right? And this was a bounty of draft picks. And he goes into Andy Reid's office and he presents this and then talks it with Andy. And Andy says any other year, yes, but he has conviction on this quarterback. He was talking about McNabb, of course. And so he turned down the offer.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
What did you learn? Did he get into the Chip Kelly hire?
Yeah.
Which was a fascinating story because we were all about Gus Bradley. The story that he was
bus. Yeah, he was
Gus
at the house.
He was driving.
Yep.
Big Dom was driving Gus In fact, he was listening to my show.
Is
and
that right?
we were having callers call up and say, Gus,
Yes.
because it was happening.
Yep.
And then he got the call from
Chip
Chip.
did the about face. I think Chip was at now this is not in the book. I think Chip was at the coaches convention down in Texas and called up and Gus was at Jeffrey's house at the time.
And he was all hyped up because Anthony got him all hyped up. The fans are calling in.
I know. I still feel bad about that. I can only imagine like somebody being like, "Oh, wow, this is awesome!"
He's like,
And all of a sudden, he didn't get the job.
He doesn't have a job. So actually, what's interesting is I asked Jeffrey about some of the regrets during this period, and one of the things he acknowledged, this was kind of the second regret, is that he didn't identify some of the issues in the building sooner with Chip. So he got into that. Actually, he said kind of the biggest regret was when he thinks back to 2012. There were obviously, and you know this better than me, there were a lot of factors with Andy Reid that kind of went beyond football and the family life, the personal life. But he wishes there was some way that they could have made that work. Now, you could say it's easy to say that now when Andy's won all these Super Bowls in Kansas City.
No, I believe that. I have to tell you, I believe Jeffrey. Jeffrey loved Andy. Like
he still does. He big time.
Like honestly, and I think there's and he owes Andy a debt of gratitude. Andy showed Jeffrey how to run a football team. I mean, Jeffrey gets in. You remember, he inherits Ray Rhodes. God love Ray. He was a coordinator. He wasn't a head guy, right? They had no leadership from the GM standpoint. I mean, then when he starts to get involved, and Andy showed them the organization, how to build an organization is what Andy showed them. Yeah. And I do think he tried. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. But the public was at an all-time high. There was a lot of pressure on him to do that.
And I also think there was a sentiment at the time that Andy needed to go somewhere else, given everything that was happening with his family.
That was a big deal. Yeah. I mean, that was a big deal. The kids, it was not pretty. What else did you learn? What are some of the other things you learned?
So some cool nuggets, actually. Joe Banner told me, when Drew Brees was a free agent, right? That the Eagles were interested in signing Drew Brees. And that's something I had not heard before.
I never heard that.
And if you remember, he's leaving San Diego. The Dolphins fail his physical. He goes to New Orleans. Now, I said you had Donovan at the time, right? How would that have worked out? And he said that's why it didn't work out. But they identified a rare opportunity for a quarterback like that to hit the market. And they thought that when there's a free agent like that, you have to look at it. And years later, it wasn't apples for apples, but when they signed Michael Vick, it was a similar line of thinking that it's rare for these types of quarterbacks to become available. Mm-hmm. And when it is, you have to go after it. So, that was a morsel of information. From
how about the Vick thing? Because the Vick thing was interesting because the league wanted the Eagles. They knew what kind of polarizing figure Vick was, and they wanted him here. They thought this was the best place for Vick to be here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jeffrey spoke about how he thought it spoke about what he wanted the organization to stand for in bringing Vick here. So that was one thing that stood out in the reporting. I do think, in terms of what I learned from a big picture perspective, I didn't fully grasp how important it was for them to build that stadium and that practice facility, given what the reputation of the organization was at the time at the Vet. And in particular with those who, with like coaches and potential free agents. And that was a time in the NFL when people were really starting to consider what the workplace is like, where you're spending your days. And for coaches who were working in the Vet and for free agents who were coming through and seeing the bubble that they used to practice at across the street from the Vet, like how important it was for the organization to really get that built in South Philly. So that was...
Were they getting a lot of negative feedback from agents and coaches and players?
Yeah.
Dude, you had no idea. I mean, imagine that place was a dump. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a freaking bubble. It was like Temple had better facilities than the Eagles did. I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah. And then Anthony spoke about, Andy teaching or really showing them how to run the organization. there was a lot that the Eagles still use now that traces back to what they were doing 25 years ago. In particular, I spoke to Joe Banner about this. When they were signing all those players early, you think about guys like Todd Herremans and I think Hugh Douglas, Trot Jr. Jeremiah Trotter. There were a lot of guys they gave early contracts to. The Eagles still do that now. They were making trades before
that was
the rest
in
of the league was.
Andy learned how to do that cap-wise, and Joe was great.
Yeah.
Banner was great at it, and then Howie took that next level. What did he talk about Howie? Because Howie, I'll never forget, he believed Howie was his Theo Epstein.
Joe did.
Jeffrey did.
And Jeffrey did. Yeah, Jeffrey. So I've covered Howie throughout his tenure. I did not speak to him specifically for this book, but there's a lot from my time covering Howie during these 13 years. But yeah, Jeffrey really spoke about Howie kind of being this modern day football executive and how important it is in this current age, not just to focus on what you're watching on film, but really all that goes into building an organization, the different components of it in decision making, and really weighing these different factors. So that's something Jeffrey did speak about in this.
I give him a lot of credit. And listen, nobody wants to pat owners on the back, right? That's not in our DNA. Yeah. But, and this portion of the program is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. When he made it, Philadelphia a home.
Jeffrey.
Yes. Norman Bremen always kept his place in the south of France, in Miami, right? Like he was a part-time resident. Laurie has made Philadelphia his baby. Like he said, I'm here, I'm all in. And he built a life here.
He's told me over the years in talking to us how important that was when, because I mean it's well documented. Philadelphia wasn't the only team he was looking at, but wherever he bought a team, that's where he would be, and that he would be part of that community. So you're absolutely right there.
What did it? What else? Let's talk a little football stuff. Like what other stuff that did you go, wow, how about that nugget?
Yeah, Brian Westbrook. I in speaking of Westbrook for this book, and Westbrook really talking about how like the running back position changed during his time, and he gave this anecdote it leads to Brian Westbrook chapter, that his kids, they see Eddie George, right, and they're like, how did you play the same position as that guy? Right? And you think about back when Brian Westbrook came in the league, a lot of the running backs were like Eddie George, 3.5, 4, these it's I don't want to say 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but that was the style. And that Brian Westbrook, in one sense, he was ahead of his time, but now you see the great running backs, whether it's Christian McCaffrey, even Saquon, you have to be able to catch the ball, the different ways you can use it in the offense. And he credited Andy Reid for identifying that, but him kind of pointing out that he used that anecdote that it's amazing to think him and Eddie George played the same position.
That's awesome, man. That's such what a great work. I can't wait to dive into this, baby. This is unbelievable.
Was there anyone who was like you were really surprised at, like, oh, they were super nice, or
I appreciate
miserable or hard to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, well,
he's covered the team, so listen.
Yeah, so a lot of these, the stories in there.
Speaking of that,
I tried.
Wow, that's on brand.
I tried.
Yeah, that's on brand.
No, it was you hear things behind the scenes like I covered Malcolm Jenkins' whole career here. Yeah. But I didn't realize some of the stuff Malcolm was dealing with behind the scenes. And Malcolm, he chronicled it in his book. But like not all that the players show on the surface in the public is what's going on behind the scenes. So Malcolm was pretty vulnerable talking about that. And then I appreciate Malcolm writing the forward. I wrote in the acknowledgments here. In this job, you can't have favorites, right? But in my 13 years, there aren't many guys I respect more than Malcolm.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, like you're a human being. So of course there are some people that you connect with more than others. I mean, and some people are more interested in that piece of it. Did you get into Wentz?
Yeah, I got it. There's a whole chapter on Wentz, and the cool thing with Wentz.
Fascinating. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, well, so I was in Fargo when the Eagles drafted. When the Eagles drafted Wentz, I got that. There's a lot from the end of the Wentz era that I chronicled, stuff that I had knew from behind the scenes that is in this book here. And I think this isn't just a pitch. This is like the cool thing that I think. So I'm 38 years old, right? This chronicles 25 years. So for most of my life, it's this period, and it's kind of what Anthony just said is that when you cover the team, you become desensitized to the fanaticism, but you don't become dehumanized. And the cool thing with this book is I think it helped me relive a lot of these great moments and memories from my childhood and then from covering the team. And I think fans can do it. Like you think about the Snow Bowl game, right? You think about about
Shady.
Nick Foles has 7 touchdowns, behind the scenes of the Philly special. You read about the acquisition.
journey of Foles is still
exactly.
I mean, the Wentz Foles thing is still one of the greatest stories ever. Did you sit down again with Wentz?
No, I did not sit back down with Wentz for this book.
I'm just curious. He's still an interesting. What happened? What went awry?
Yep.
There's some stuff. There's such a dramatic organization. Yeah. Hey, what we got?
Yeah, let's talk Eagles.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Updates. Injury updates. So Devontae and Lane in protocol.
Yes.
All right. AJ chance to play?
I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. He traveled with the team, which does say something. Now, when he had that hamstring injury, I heard it was going to be some time. I heard it was going to be a few weeks. But the Eagles are in a position now where, Devontae's in the concussion protocols, so we don't know if he's coming back. Britton, or I shouldn't say we don't know if he's going to play this weekend. Britton Covey, he was in a sling after the game. He's going to miss some time. So the Eagles are down 3 of their top 4 receivers. If they can push AJ, I imagine he's
I wouldn't do
try.
it. I wouldn't risk it. Look. The win was huge, huge on Sunday, because if I lose, I'm 2-2 and going into the bye, no problem.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think the big one to monitor too is Lane Johnson. So I've covered Lane's whole career. This is his 4th documented concussion during the time that I've covered it, and we all know there might be stuff undocumented, right? Too. So
I worry about him.
Yeah. So that's and. The Eagles, when he's in and when he's out, it's a dramatic difference. So really, Lane, AJ, Devontae, those are 3 of the most important players.
Huge.
It's going to be hard without them. I'm talking to the coordinators in 2 hours. We'll see kind of what this week looks like, putting a game plan together without those guys. But it's going to have to be a heavy Saquon game. It's going to have to be a heavy Dallas Goedert game. We saw last week. I was on your show. We were talking about Goedert. When they get Goedert the ball, what he can do, and he showed that.
Therein lies my frustration, okay? Because I've been screaming, get him involved. Right. Get him involved in the game. Get in the game plan.
He
clearly wasn't involved in the game plan the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're going, dude, where is he?
Yeah.
There's space for him. It's not like he's not a good player. He is a good player. He's a good tight end.
Yeah, and Dennis Allen, the Saints coach, said after the game, they knew that ball on 3rd down was going to Goddard. Now, great job by Jahan Dotson on the rub route there, but the reality is Goddard makes that catch. He gets to the sideline. He's a good tight end. The Eagles have long thought it, and if he's featured in the game plan this week, we can see it.
Yeah, run the ball.
Any idea why it took these injuries to get them to focus on Barkley and Goddard?
AJ, Devontae, there's such an emphasis on getting AJ and Devontae the ball, and I get it. Those are our 2 outstanding players.
But here's my biggest thing, and you know how I feel.
Yeah.
All right. They need to understand their own identity. And sometimes I don't think they do. Mm-hmm. All right? They are a downhill running team. They have a great O-line.
Right.
When Lane's healthy, that O-line is ridiculous. All right? They move mountains. You got to be a downhill running team. And that includes no RPOs. You don't need to run all RPOs. You don't need to get cute. Barkley's better with a head of steam hitting the hole.
Well, one thing that, over the years Lane has told me, and it's accurate, is that when things sputter on offense, their response is usually, well, let's get back to the running game, and good things tend to happen. So you are right that if they can run the ball well, and they have a $13 million a year running back, right? They have that. Now, we'll see what the right side of the O-line looks like. But when they have this type of talent, you can always go back to running the ball. I do know they want to be a pass-happy team.
I know they do.
But you have to play
they're not a pass-happy team. And it's my biggest frustration, all right? You got to know. Charlie used to say it all the time, know thyself, all right? You're not built. First of all, Jalen's not a guy who's a volume thrower. You don't need to. Jalen's best when he's thrown the ball 22 times. 18 to 22. And you can get some big plays because then when you're running the ball,
you're right.
Then all of a sudden things open up down the field. And he's got time. When he's got a pocket, a clean pocket, he can throw dimes down the field. Why do you think 2022 worked? 2022 worked because teams didn't understand how to deal with their RPOs and RPRs, right? The minute they figured it out is now you got to come and you got to counter it by being a downhill run team.
Well, yeah, I mean, and to build on that, one thing I do think they can do. You mentioned the RPOs. Is I think fewer designed runs for Jalen. More like I would have Jalen run as a scrambler. I would have him hand the ball off more to Saquon. So you think about
because his decisions are off. Like the first play of the game.
That's what I was going to point out.
Come on, man. You got to give the ball to Saquon.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Listen, you got to take that decision out of his hands.
Yeah. And so I think that there can be more designed runs for Saquon, and I think what makes if Jalen's going to be a special quarterback, his legs are a part of that. But use it as the scrambling, use it as extending plays. If 5 yards is there, take 10. But I would have fewer designed runs for Jalen, more designed runs for Saquon.
Definitely. Like you see last night, one of the things I loved about Daniels, right, and he did that at LSU, is when he moves, he still has his head up and he's looking to throw. Like, that's the next iteration. Now, I like what Jalen did. He switched it up, went to his left, and he hit Devontae. I don't know if you remember that play.
Yes.
Right? Which was good. I need more of that, where I need your head up, and I need – Daniels made a play last night. I don't know if you're watching the game, where he hit his receiver right at the goal line, set up a 1-yard touchdown, but he was under duress.
Oh, yeah, the Terry McLaurin one down the left side.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that was – like elevated quarterback play that they teach at LSU.
Yeah.
That is like that's what I want to see from Jalen. Use your athleticism, right? But use it to buy some time to get the ball down the field.
It's a valid point, and the Eagles feel every game they have the edge at wide receiver. I don't know if they're going to have the edge this week, and so that's where you lean into the other parts of your offense.
Yeah. Listen, we wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate it.
Listen,
if you're a diehard
everybody's got to get it. All right, here it is. The new book, Z Berm. Look at it, man.
And I'll say, too, if you're a diehard member, which I hope you are, because we have great stuff on diehard, we have an event here on on October 7th, where I'll be signing books. We'll have a conversation. We're going to have good food here in the studio. So if you're a diehard member, you can sign up for that.
We love that.
Nice.
Dude, congratulations.
Appreciate it. It means a lot that you guys had me on talk about it.
Oh, my God. I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know what it feels like. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
The great Z Burr. Yeah. I love Zach. We go back, Zach and I. And he's a terrific writer, terrific reporter, great writer. I'm very, very happy for him. All right. Time now for the brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
Hello, Brain.
Good morning to you.
There he is, the ambassador, the Bet Park Sportsbook Online Casino ambassador. Well, Mr. Ambassador, I'll tell you one thing. Jaden Daniels can play, and Kingsbury is a great OC. They took advantage of the Bengals front. I did not see them putting up that 38. Man, wow.
I was really surprised. They didn't punt once the entire game. They were incredible. I got to ask you a question. We've seen Randall Cunningham. We've seen Michael Vick. We've seen Justin Fields. I think this guy, and this is a strong statement, Lamar Jackson, obviously, I think he's the best runner I've ever seen. I think he's better than all of them. I am amazed how quick his move. He's so fast. I think he's just an incredible runner, like incredible.
Yeah,
I
do
didn't know he was that good of a runner.
I will tell you, I think he's a better thrower than a lot of those guys. Like Lamar is still, to me, the best runner. Lamar's, he's the ultimate joystick quarterback, right? But Daniels has a touch on the ball. He had a touch on the ball at LSU. He can make all the throws. He's got a big arm, but he's got touch. Like Lamar's got a cannon. But he don't have the touch that Daniels has. And I think he's a terrific runner, like you said. But when you add his throwing ability, that makes him special.
It's interesting because Anthony, I've watched all their games, the first 2 games, and I know you said about Kingsbury, but I thought they were a little too conservative what they did with him the first 2 games, where none of his passes really were downfield. If you watch the games, they were all like short. And then yesterday, that you saw him, he threw that nice, beautiful ball to McLaurin. Crazy stat, Anthony. Since the fourth quarter of the opening game against Tampa Bay, their last, I think it's 16 possessions they've scored on. They scored every possession against the Giants. They scored every possession yesterday.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why it was like that. Against Tampa, first game, Bowles is a blitz-happy guy. So Temple Todd's going to blitz you to death. So you want to try to take your franchise quarterback's first game, and you don't want to expose him. So you got to dial it back a little bit. And last night, what killed the Bengals is they had no tackles. Their defensive line was decimated. I didn't realize it, but they were without 3 defensive tackles. And the most important part of the defense are the hogs up front. Like we talk about ends and we talk about corners, but those defensive tackles blowing up plays. You saw it with Jalen Carter on
I was looking to say that too.
They are huge in a game.
I got to ask you, Anthony, because I know you do the film work with Baldy, and I was curious because just from like the layman didn't see the all-22 tape, it seemed like his game Sunday, usually defensive tackle, I mean, Aaron Donald's obviously the anomaly. He was the best ever to do it, right? Ever. So, but usually you don't see defensive tackles wreck more. I thought Jalen Carter's game, I don't recall a game
he dominated the game.
Aaron Donald.
I saw the tape. He dominated the game. He was unbelievable. What's amazing about him is that he's fat, like he's strong, right? He's a bull, but he's quick. Like his quickness is ridiculous for his size. And
I thought that was definitely the best game of his career.
Damn, he's a player.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the best game of his career, but like that looked like Jerome Brown back in the day. I mean, that was just unbelievable.
Like to have the quickness that he has. Honestly, you could put him on the end. Like he's got his
for sure. He's that kind of player.
Yeah, his quickness is ridiculous. And he's so strong. My God, he's a beast. Dude, he's a beast.
I was very impressed. I was very, very impressed. But you're right, Anthony, to your point, when you have that in the middle, it changes the entire. I mean, honestly, even though Carr played bad, I probably saw 8 or 9 individual plays where no quarterback would have made a play. Like he just literally disrupted the play.
I'll be honest.
And those are things that don't even show in the stats. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah, after looking at the all-22, I just think they had a bad game plan. Like their game plan was not smart. Especially early because they kept trying to go and attack the edges, right? Because they saw 2 weeks ago, right? They had great success against the Eagles, Atlanta, running off the edge. So they were trying to get Kamara to run off the edges like he did. They shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, again, being without Taysom Hill was a big deal for them. Because of
he's a really good player.
But I didn't like their game plan. All that said, I thought Fangio we said that for them to be successful, he's going to have to chess match the OC. And he did. He had a great game plan.
I got to ask you, Anthony, because I didn't get a chance to read it, but I was a little busy yesterday. But I want to ask you a question. Did Sirianni address just what he's been doing with these analytics and just driving drunk doing it? Like I'm curious. Is anyone pointing this out? No. I'm actually I'm not trying to be funny. Like I'm actually like. I mean, does he realize what he's doing? Does anyone like helping him see that this is just? It's going to end poorly for him, for everyone. Like this.
Yeah, is
anyone asking him this?
Listen. He's addressed it many times, and he just said the same thing, which is like there's an analytic guy in his headset, right? The analytics department.
The analytic guy, Anthony, you can't just look at it's 53% of the time.
But in fairness,
you look at game situation. You got to look at what's going on in that game. You got to have a feel.
You're speaking to me, so you and I agree. I'm the guy who invented Charlie, right? Like, Charlie says, kick the field goal, right? Whatever. He honestly, the first decision before halftime wasn't even analytic friendly. I mean, as much as I like to blame analytics, It actually wasn't, right? It was just a horrific decision to go for it. Like, you got one play. Like, what are you doing? I just think he's trying to hit a grand slam.
Grand slam.
Every call, he's in his own head. I think it's clear. I think he's unsure of his role. I think he's swimming in decision making. I think there's a lot of that. I think right now, it's just a bad kind of spot that he's in. I mean, if you ask me, I've talked to people down there, and they think he's swimming too.
It's just, listen, and here's my point, Anthony. Look, it's a 2-1 team. Obviously, look, the NFC looks as open as it's ever been. I think you would agree with that. San Francisco has more injuries than God, unfortunately.
Hargrave being out kills them.
Yeah, and I don't think McCaffrey's going to play this year. Now that he's going to Germany, that's you talk about a red flag. That's a crimson red flag. I feel bad.
You go to Germany for the blood spinning.
You're not.
Yeah, that's like you're done when that happens. We know the answer to that.
He's in the Black Forest.
Anthony, but I'm actually being serious here. By the way, it's funny to me. If I had to pick 4 teams today, 4 teams that are the most likely to go to the NFC, just like today, I would say the Lions number 1, but then probably the Packers, the Vikings, and the Eagles would be the 4 teams today. These things change like the wind. I get it. But my point being is, I told you, I'm not trying to be funny here, Anthony. I'd have like an intervention with the guy or have someone help him with these decisions because it's so reckless. It's so bad. And if the Eagles just really think that these are the right decisions, I know Howie Roseman, I know for a fact, is a smart guy. I know he's not a dumb guy. I know this. He's a smart man. Like, someone should be able to just say, okay, listen, we should be 3-0. We all know this. He tried to give away 2 games. He only gave away 1. We got to fix this now before it becomes worse. I don't know. Dude, I'm sorry to keep harping on it.
It's something you can't prep for decision making, right? Like that's
here's what you could do, Anthony. Here's what you can do. You could hire you to go on the field next to him.
Yeah.
Okay. You can hire you to go on the field next to him.
Hey, Nick,
saying here,
man,
handle the
kick
decision.
the field goal, Nick.
You get my point, right? It's not. This isn't like
that's not happening.
Well, you get my point.
I get it.
Go have a seat, Nick.
Yeah. Once I get that headset, it's over. You'll never see Nick around here anymore.
Won't see him no more.
And I'm not giving it up. What do you like? Give us some. Are you looking at futures baseball?
The Phillies. Well, I'm going to give you the Phillies game. Look, I think we're going to get a total rest day from the Phillies, Anthony. Like, I think we're going to see like Tanner Banks pitching today. I think we're going to get their F lineup. And by the way, VG, good call. Nola, get 7 strikeouts.
I got greedy. I added a Harper home run to it, so I didn't win.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I was rooting for it. I was actually following it because of you. I really was. No joke.
But today should be the day. I mean, Justin Steele's a good pitcher. If they're going to lose one of these Cup games, this is going to be it anyway.
Well, it's not only that, but again, Phillies have their worst guy going. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some guys off today. I like the Cubs in the 5-inning line. Don't trust the Cubs bullpen even a little. You can lay $1.30 right now on the Park site. I think that's worth it. And then Tanner Beebe, Cleveland Guardians, under 2.5 runs, 38-17 his last 55 games, 19-11 this year, going against a really bad Cincinnati Reds lineup. I think that merits a play as well.
What do you think about Padres Dodgers? I mean, we're all interested in that out here.
Well, I mean, look, Michael King is one of my favorite pitchers. He really is. He's been really good to me. Landon Knack's been decent. Look, I think that game's sitting around the pick. I think it's the right number. I do. I mean, the Dodgers are they score so many freaking runs. The Padres, I really give their general manager credit, AJ Preller. He did a good job of just adding just tremendous bullpen arms to the back of that staff, and they're going to be a tough out in these playoffs. I think, honestly, guys, I think the 3 best teams in baseball are all in the National League. I think the 3 best. I think the 3 best teams are the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Phillies. I don't really think anyone would really argue that, actually. I think they are the 3 best teams. And the National League's going to be so tough. Tough game for me. Probably lean Dodgers because I just think the Dodgers they're just so tough to beat because they just hit these home runs. It's like Ohtani is like a cheat code. He's like a legitimate cheat code. I don't think I've seen a guy like this since Barry Bonds.
I'm dying to see. That's a heavyweight fight. Phil's Dodgers NLCS. Wow. That's like incredible baseball. I want to see it. Like
I hope.
Of course, you want the lesser opponent, but watching Phillies Dodgers, man, that would be epic.
I mean, Anthony, remember growing up in the 70s? Like, do you remember, like,
I brought it up
remember
earlier.
that, right? Yeah, I mean, they probably. I mean, I remember Phillies Dodgers. That's when I was a kid, and I always remember your John Candelaria line driving. I used to love
Bert
Phillies
who?
Dodgers in the play. Bert Hooton, they pulled him off the mound.
Boo!
That was
and
that
they're all
was-
in his head. And Bert Hooton
that was
was
priceless.
freaking out.
Yeah, that was priceless. But this look, the Dodgers are really, really tough. I mean, I know the Phillies had a lot of success this year.
Their pitching, it hasn't come together yet. There's still
they lose Glass now for the year, but
Yep.
Yamamoto's back. Flaherty, look, the Flaherty thing again. I wish they hadn't gotten him, but they did. If you go on any other team, they'd only have one starter. Now they have two starters, and with that lineup, Anthony, again, you could argue. Can't you argue they have the three best hitters in the National League? Maybe Freeman's a little bit of a stretch, but I probably think Betts and
Ohtani and Betts 1-2. You know.
Yeah, and then Freeman's excellent. So I'm just saying and then you're right, these guys like Muncy is like a Schwarber. He hits a home run every game. It's like they're just such a tough lineup.
Well,
it's so hard to get
Phillies
through them.
need Turner. I got to get Turner hot. I need Turner in the playoffs because I'll listen.
He slipped the switch of last year. He's done the opposite, Anthony.
I know. I'll go to war with Schwarber, Harper, a hot Turner, right? The kids, Casty, let's go.
Yeah, well, listen, hopefully we get it. I think there's a very good chance we will. But again, I will say this. I guess the Phillies probably, Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, if they get this bye, if the Padres, they would play probably the Padres in the Final Four. I think because if the Dodgers get the number one seed, I really would love to avoid them. I'm
with you. I want the one seed just to avoid San Diego.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although I guess in San Diego, in Atlanta, they play Atlanta. If Atlanta does get in, I don't think they're going to. But Chris Sale, I guess, anytime you face Chris Sale potentially twice in a short series, that's probably nothing fun either. So, but we'll see what happens.
All right, special tomorrow. We're going to be doing our show 5:00 tomorrow, the Cousins Corner betting show with you.
Yes,
where we look
Can't
at
wait.
the NFL, the college football. We dive into it. All right.
Yes, sir. I can't wait.
Every Wednesday we'll be doing that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Great stuff, Brain.
Appreciate you guys as always.
Brad'sBestBets.com.
Be good.
There it is. Tell me about some Glatt.
Oh, you know us follicle guys. Challenges. Glatt's got the answers. Glatt Hair Restoration, established by the late Dr. Paul Glatt and now part of the Morgenstern Center. It's under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon, Dr. Ken Morgenstern. He's a nationally recognized specialist and among the few surgeons in the country who's trained in oculofacial plastic surgery and facial cosmetic surgery. Dr. Glatt and Morgenstern, they shared a remarkable bond that spanned many years as colleagues and friends, from collaborating on critical research to working together in the operating room. With Glatt Hair Restoration, you get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, and same state-of-the-art location. Each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30 years of industry experience, and hair restoration is all they do. They can help you in all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for restoration and prevention. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. Caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand this decision can be emotional and challenging, and they're there to make it as simple and stress-free as possible. Glatt Hair isn't about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair is the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
There you go, VG. Let's talk about the BetPark Sportsbook Casino app. Got you covered. There's always another way to win on the BetParks app. That's right. Sunday, Birds 2.5-point road underdogs at Tampa. Totals 45. That's a stay away. We know that's a tough game. Bet more than just a score. Player TDs, rushing, passing yards, Barkley, Saquon, sacks, interceptions, you name it. Thursday Night Football. Giants, Dallas at MetLife. Dallas, 4.5-point favorites against the Giants. Join me now on the BetPark Sportsbook online casino app. It's the only online casino sportsbook that we use. Recommend BetPark as your seat with a live dealer for all your favorite classic casino games right on your phone. Live dealer, blackjack, craps, roulette while watching the game. All right? Bet all your favorite sports, baseball, the Birds, pro football, college football. Make your downtime fun time. Download the BetParks app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. All right, you have the new Peaky Blinders slot game, which is awesome. Tommy Shelby. New users, download the online app right now and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be 21, PA, New Jersey, Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. BetParks. All right. Now, this portion of the program brought to us by Rite Aid. Rite Aid. I love Rite Aid, but not even Rite Aid has enough allergy meds to cure me. I'm incurable in this building. Joining us, fresh off the film room, he is my man. He is a leatherhead like I am. I love him. Fran Duffy. Franny, good morning, my brother.
What's up, fellas? It's a football Tuesday. I'm excited to share what I like. You said, I just finished watching the offensive film. I did the defense yesterday, so I'm excited to share what I saw.
Yeah, I love this stuff. I love your gear, your team gear right there. That's a nice sweat jacket. That's all right. Let's talk defense first because I watched it. I saw the All-22. I got to tell you, Fangio came up with a great game plan. And, dude, Jalen Carter, we thought he popped just by the naked eye. When you rewatch the film, he's even better. He's scary, Franny.
Yeah, it was a thing that we talked about in the post-game show on Sunday was, all right, like, hey, he got credited with 4 tackles and a couple hurries, 2 TFLs. And I said, he is going to pop so much more on the film. And it felt like every single drive, he was making one or two plays where it was like, man, like he is just so much better than the guy across from him. This is what you were hoping for him coming into his second year. This is the guy that they need if they're going to go to the level that they want to as a defense.
Yeah, and Jordan Davis, I liked what I saw from Jordan Davis. There was a giddy up out of him.
Yeah, he got that sack, his first full sack in about 11 months. The big thing, too, we talked about this last week, that it wasn't necessarily when you looked at that loss against the Falcons. I didn't put that on Jordan Davis because they kind of took him out of the game with the way that they wanted to play.
Yep.
But this game, I felt like this was going to be more of a Jordan Davis game, and I thought that he showed up ready to play. That entire defensive front, you could see like right out in the opening drive. And I know they converted 3 times on third down. The Saints, they go down, they get points in that opening drive. But we were saying there in the studio that was a really good start for that group because you could see that defense coming off the ball the way that they were. You could tell that they were ready to play. And you mentioned Fangio. He had a lot of wrinkles in his bag ready for this game too.
Oh, my God. I loved it. I loved his game plan. I love going with a 50 front, which I thought against that team, right, especially without Taysom Hill, I thought that was just a brilliant. He had a great game plan, 5-2 all day long, man. I love that. Where they were having trouble was in nickel, stopping the run. And I loved what he added. And I thought the way the Saints attacked him worked perfectly for Fangio's plan.
Yeah, and so basically what they did a week ago against Atlanta was, you mentioned, they're playing in their nickel front, so you've got 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and the 5 DBs. Well, the change that we saw Vic make late in that game was instead of it being, it's still the same guys on the field, but instead of there being 4 down linemen, we're going to take Zach Bond, we're going to put him up on the line of scrimmage and make it more of a 5-man front. And so that's going to try really basically change the math for the blocking scheme so that they can't get guys up to the second level as quickly. Now, in this game, I was interested to see, all right, what is New Orleans going to do? Are they going to try and make the Eagles stay in nickel? They did it a little bit, but really they wanted to stay in their base defense or their base offense and keep the Eagles in base. Now, what they did was they tried to load the formation. They brought a lot of tight ends and fullbacks onto the field. So Fangio said, all right, well, I'm going to make sure that if we're not going to just line up in our 5-2, I'm going to bring a sixth guy up in the line of scrimmage. So again, taking Zach Bond and putting him there, and just constantly the chess match back and forth between both Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, and Vic Fangio was really fun to watch over the first couple of drives. Fangio clearly coming out on top.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was surprised that they didn't try to go more 11 and force the Eagles and try to go down the field, especially early downs where, I would have tested that. That's how I would have went after it. But by the way, the other guy who popped is Kenyon. Kenyon's you watch him and you go, he's going to be special.
Yeah, and going up in this matchup against the Saints, I mean, they were a really explosive downfield passing attack. And I thought that Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship, Darius Slay, that entire group on the back end, they did a really good job of not just staying on top of double moves and not allowing anything over the top, but even those crossing routes, they did a good job of hunting those up and taking those throws away from Derek Carr. They went 4, 5, 6 times in this game, tried to attack down the field, and you see Carr having to settle for the check down, or the rush was able to get home. So you got the rush working together in concert with the coverage. To me, the defensive effort in this game is certainly the biggest takeaway.
How about on offense, buddy? What was your biggest takeaway on offense?
Well, getting 88 involved, that was certainly a big change. Just seeing things dialed up for him, not just down the field, we saw that, but also underneath, getting those RPOs, getting the screen game going, and then obviously those shallow crosses. Those are things that we've seen from Dallas Goedert, and that's what you guys asked me last week. Why is he not more involved? And I said, I don't think that it's not a physical limitation with Dallas. I don't think he's washed up or anything. They just, they didn't just have those plays dialed up in the game plan. And this week against the Saints, it started off early. They ran the screen to him in the opening drive. They ran that deep double move down the field for him. And then obviously those shallow crosses late were able to hit for big plays. And so for me, that was obviously big without Devontae Smith, without A.J. Brown, being able to lean on Dallas Goedert in that way. That was the number one takeaway. But then, dude, Saquon is
real quick, before we get to that, therein lies my source of frustration.
Yep.
All right? Because we all could see, we all understand Goddard just needs to be part of the game plan, man. Like, I just didn't understand why you would attack without him. It frustrated me to no end. I berate you sometimes, your ear, and I appreciate your ear, because it just frustrates me where I go, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, enough with trying to go underneath the covey all the time. Get the ball in Goddard's hand.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you can still dial these plays up to Goddard when AJ's healthy and when Devontae's healthy. To me, the more the merrier for that entire passing game, because a lot of those throws can be high chance of success rate for Jalen Hurts as well. You go to that RPO, I mean, that was a slam dunk play for them back in 2022 and even last year as well. And so just being able to get the ball in Dallas Goedert's hands, that's a separating factor for him when you compare him to other tight ends in football. His yards after catch ability is one of the things that makes him such a great player. And so finding ways to get him the football, that's only going to be a plus for this offense.
Yeah, speaking of pluses, let's just talk about Saquon. Oh, how great is it to have a back like him? How about on the touchdown run, how he put it to that next gear?
Yeah, I mean, you see him just searching for daylight when he gets up to the second, third level. A lot of backs, in that situation, they might be like panicking, looking, who's the guy that I have to make miss? But he's just looking for green grass and he takes off. He's faster than everybody. The offensive line, the left side, did an outstanding job on that play because New Orleans is running a run stunt over there. And so those guys kind of had to pick that up on the fly. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen got a guy on the ground on the backside as well. And so everybody across the front did an outstanding job. And you can just see, like, that was the play after Devontae Smith goes down. Those guys came off the ball with vengeance on their minds on that play. So that was good to see across the board. But having a guy like Saquon, having that explosive element at that position, it's going to take this offense to a different dimension than what we've seen in the run game, because we know that this run game has always been one of the best in football. But having Saquon that can really raise that ceiling, it's going to be fun to watch over the next several weeks.
Hey, Freddie Johnson. Man, I don't know where he came from, but what did he look like on film to you?
He was beating people up in the run game. I mean, this is a guy that's big. He's long. He's got the ability to move people at the point of attack. he got beat up in pass protection a little bit, especially as the game went on. You could see that the Saints DN started figuring out ways to tee off on him with their bull rushes. But when you look at his ability in the run game, that's what makes him such a good fit for this offense. It's kind of like a Mekhi Becton type of presence in terms of his size and his length. And so that's something that I'm sure that if he does have to play this week, they'll lean into him being able to move people at the point of attack, especially against the Tampa Bay front that has been missing some players as well. And so that would be something to watch if he does have to go this week.
Will Tampa? I haven't seen much of Tampa's offense. Will they allow them to stay in the base for most of the game?
Yeah, they have been more an 11 personnel team so far this season. Now, I haven't gone through just this past Sunday yet, but for the first 2 weeks, they were mostly 11 personnel, so 3 receivers out on the field, and so it'll be more nickel. But this has not been historically a very good running team over the course of the last few years, and so they should not have issues against this Tampa run game. But I think schematically, my guess is they'll continue to mix up those fronts because it's something that's worked for them certainly this week and on the back end of last week as well.
Did you watch Tampa? Because I be honest with you, I was shocked. I didn't see the tape. I just they appeared listless, and just what I saw. What did you see from them?
Yeah, I was shocked at the result of that game. I haven't gone through the tape yet, so that'll probably be a tonight or tomorrow thing for me, going through the Bucs film from Sunday. But I did not expect that. Look, coming into the season, I was probably a little bit down on Tampa, where I said, they've had some turnover on both sides of the football. They lose their offensive coordinator. Is this going to be a situation where maybe they step back a little bit and Atlanta steps up or New Orleans steps up? But look, they came out. They get off to that hot start. Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind. He's really efficient on third down. He's making big-time throws. He's spreading the football around. Godwin looks like he's back to his normal self. And so they've got the ability to beat you in a lot of different ways. But then they kind of came back to earth this week against Denver. I did not expect that outcome against the Broncos on the road.
No, Baldy was high. He was all in love with Tampa.
He's all Buccaneer guy.
Yeah, he was in love with him. Now, it's going to be interesting. The real interesting piece of Sunday will be Todd Bowles and how he attacks the Eagles with Barkley, knowing that probably no Devontae and probably no AJ.
Yeah, and I think that obviously, look, we know with Todd Bowles, you're going to expect pressure and trying to put that pressure on Jalen Hurts, not just in 5-man blitzes, but in some of those cover 0 blitzes as well. And that's something that has plagued Hurts in the past. I think so far this year, we've seen him do a really good job against the blitz. That opening drive sack against New Orleans, that was the first time where it just looked like there was a blown protection. Kenny Gainwell had his eyes in the wrong spot. He made his first read, but his second read was the guy coming off the edge. Jalen Hurts expected that man to be picked up, and Kenny Gainwell didn't get there, and Hurts goes down with the sack. So to me personally, I mean, look, I understand that you have to spell Saquon at certain points of the game, right? Like you can't play 100% of the snaps, but in those high leverage situations, you get down to third down. To me, Saquon has been so good in pass protection, and we know we can do catching the football as well. I know that that's what Kenny has been historically in this offense, is he's been kind of that change of pace, third down, 2-minute type of back. But I think you kind of have to have Saquon in there in those situations, because it wasn't just that blitz pickup. There was that miscommunication on the third down hot route in the third quarter as well, late in the game, where Jalen went through the ball. He had the access throw to Gainwell to the left side, and Gainwell just wasn't on the same page. It would have been a first down against the blitz on third down, and so the ball falls incomplete out of bounds. And so to me, I think that might be something that we can watch out for in this game. On third down, instead of it being Gainwell, I think they might have to lean into Saquon, especially knowing the Todd Bowles blitz package.
I agree. There's a couple things I liked after watching it when I saw from Jalen a couple times. I saw him climb the pocket.
Yep.
I also saw him go left, and he went left and he hit Devontae, which, those things, obviously the decision making, the one route by Devontae was a bad route, but you just can't throw the ball like that.
Yeah, I mean, the interception in the red zone, in the end zone, it was basically the same exact play that they ran for the touchdown against Atlanta last week. And we said that on the postgame show, and Nick Sirianni talked about it yesterday in his press conference, and he basically put that all on. He didn't say it was Devontae's fault, but basically said, like, we got to do a better job of coaching Devontae in that spot. It was a different leverage from the safety than what he had seen last week, but it was essentially the same route concept. And so that's a trusted throw from Jalen in that spot. Jalen, basically, he's dropping back. He's got to look off the safety to the left side. He's got to stare at him, and when he hits the top of his drop, let it go. Because if he waits, then the safety's got more time to be able to jump it. He's got to hit the top and throw it. So I didn't think the ball was in a bad spot. That route just has to be a little bit flatter from Devontae. And we know Devontae's a great route runner, so that was just kind of a flub on his part, on that play. But obviously the fumble from Jalen, that's the one that's inexcusable. You can't have that one running to your left, holding onto it with one hand, and he gets swatted out by Granderson.
He's interesting. I like him, and again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm a big believer in know thyself, right? Who are you? They are a downhill running team. They need to be a downhill running. You're not, as much as I know Jeffrey Lurie loves to throw the football, and you got two great receivers. You don't want Jalen throwing the ball 30 times. You don't want that. You want him. He's so much better when he's throwing fewer. And if you establish a downhill run game, right, where you don't need to get cute with RPOs, and that's not Barkley's style as a runner anyway. If you could somehow just give the ball to Barkley, that'll open things up down the field. And when he sets his feet and he's got a clean pocket, he can make those throws down the field and drop dimes for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We've seen from Jalen the ability to be a high-level passer, both from the pocket and outside the pocket. And that's what I always reflect back to that Super Bowl loss, Anthony, because I watched him be better than Patrick Mahomes that day. Film, blown away by how he performed. And it wasn't just that game. Over the course of that season, we saw performances last year. We've seen Jalen be a high-level player in this league. And so I am definitely high on his skill set and what he can be for this Eagles offense. I do agree. I think that this offense would really benefit from leaning into that downhill running attack. And I think we've seen that these last couple of weeks, is that when Saquon Barkley gets rolling downhill, you lean onto that offensive line. What that can do for this offense, just keeping them ahead of the sticks and making some more advantageous situations for Jalen as a passer, that can really benefit this offense as a whole. I just want to see what it all looks like when you get everybody back together again, right? You get A.J. Brown healthy, Devontae Smith comes back. Now, hopefully we found something here in terms of knowing that we can lean on Goddard a little bit in the passing game. So now you've got the ability to involve all four of those guys, and now really just keep defenses on their heels. Because right now, teams are going to be able to, Todd Bowles is going to try and tee off on Barkley, try and take him away this week. But when defenses don't have that option, I think that's going to be really, really big for this offense.
Yeah, see, I forget about Sunday, right? Yeah. This team is in a good spot.
Yep.
It really is in a good spot. If you project down middle of the season, once you're rolling and you're healthy, they could be dangerous.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that you want to be able to see, because what was the formula for the offense in 2022? Hey, they're going to jump out to big leads, passing game in the first half, then they're going to run to win in the second half, and the pass rush took over in the second half of games as teams were trying to play catch up. Last year, it was a little bit of the opposite, and you had those tighter games in the second half of games.
And also, DC's figured out what you were doing. Right?
Yeah, but that's why
that's a big deal. This is where you can't make the same mistakes, right? This is where your offense needs to evolve. And that's why I keep talking about becoming a downhill run team, and then you throw off of it. There's a lot of good concepts that you could do once you establish Barkley.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, though, will be is can the defense, obviously, look, they did a great job against the run this week. They did a good job on the back end from a secondary standpoint of locking down some of those receivers from New Orleans. Rashid Shaheed was blanked in this game. He didn't let anything out over the top. Outstanding job from the secondary. But what you really want is for that pass rush to take that next step. And Jalen Carter showing what he showed on Sunday certainly was big, but you want to be able to get more out of him, out of Josh Sweat, out of Bryce Huff. Because, look, if Bryce Huff is not an every down player, he'll be an overpaid designated pass rusher on third down. That's fine. But right now, as a pass rusher, you're not getting that from him either right now. And so you want him to be able to kind of take that next step. The bye week hopefully is big for him to kind of reset, recalibrate, and see if he can give you a little bit more here after the bye.
Who's that?
Who's with Bryce Huff?
Who's that?
The guy with the 0 on the jersey.
I didn't see him, so I don't know. You must have saw something. I mean, maybe you can see ghosts. I can't see ghosts. Franny, we love you, buddy. You know what impresses me is how you could just keep going, strong football guy, even while I'm messing with you.
I'm only on one beat, man. That's all I got.
I love it, man. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it,
guys.
Fran Duffy, our resident film guy, who is terrific.
The best.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You got to give me something. Bryce Huff.
Who was that?
Dude. I love the Fangio. I mean, just like stick it. He's not playing. Anything crucial, he's not playing.
Dude, listen. Fangio came back with a terrific game plan.
You think he just gives Howie a stare down in the cafeteria?
No, I don't. Listen, I don't think Howie's. Hey, everybody's going to be wrong on guys. Yeah. Like, you're going to be wrong on guys. Even Dabrowski, who we love and is a great GM, was wrong on Walker. Like, you're just going to be wrong on guys. You can't. The worst thing is when you double down on him. Like, you got to be like, hey, man, he doesn't deserve to get the snaps.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. All right, let's talk about Parks Casino, Street Road Bet Salem. We'll be there tomorrow. We're doing the show. Look at a little happy hour. Going through all the college and NFL slate, the Excite Center at Parks Casino, one of the many things we love about Parks, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. That's right, Parks Casino, Street Road exit off of 95 and the PA Turnpike. The Excite Center, state-of-the-art entertainment venue inside Parks Casino right here in Bucks County. The #1 spot to see comedy, musical acts. You love it, VG.
I do love it. They have great cover bands. And the happy hour, especially Saturday happy hour, is insane.
Yeah, you got to love it. Hey, this Thursday, Joe Bartnick from the Bill Burr Podcast joins Joe Conklin. That's a blast. October 4th, the Juicy Scoop Podcast with Heather McDonald from Bravo and Chelsea Lately. The podcast, Are You Garbage? Live December 13th.
Yeah. I hear they're good. I hear they're really funny. They're Philly guys, too, I think.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. October 5th, comedian Kev Herrera. October 25th, comedian Michael Blaustein. November 23rd, comedian Steve Trevino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's talk Primos. Come on, man. Red October. We got football. We got sports food. There is no greater sports food than the great taste of Primo hoagies. And the beauty thing there's all these imitators now, right? Doing the cutlets, doing this thing and that. Primo's the original. Right there on Ritter Street, 1992 is when the first one opened right in South Philadelphia. And they knew that they had to be great. Because, listen, before all the spots kind of blew up, with Philadelphia sandwich, like, you got to be strong. And that's where the seeded roll came in. Now you get that seeded roll every day, big, fresh, in stores. It's ridiculous. The best Thuman meats and cheeses piled high on that bread. It's something that, you got to love it, right? And whatever it is, the meatball, the traditional hoagies, the Diablos, which are my favorite, go to PrimoHoagies.com. Download the app. All right, you can enter to win the contest. All right, free hoagies for a year if you download the new Primo Hoagies app. Check it out. You can order for all your game day parties. The parties, the pickies, they had pepperoni and cheese, all that stuff.
I'm looking at it now. They got the Italian sampler, the pepperoni and cheese sampler.
It's the best. Delicious. It really is. PrimoHoagies.com. You'll say what I always say, not just a hoagie. It's a Primo.
Well, they got a cookie platter, too.
Oh, yeah, the cookies.
I've never had cookies.
They have the dessert.
Nice.
That's cookies, man.
All that stuff. I like the pickies.
Yeah. Little pickies.
Now you're going to watch a game, you get the pickies.
Chop them up. Whack them up.
Yeah, whack them boys up.
Whack the
that's the hoagie sampler.
Yeah,
that's where you whack the hoagie sampler.
Like the whacked up hoagie?
Yeah. Well, you can get
hoagie talks back to you, you whack it up.
The beauty is you can do whatever you want. You can say, give me cutlets. And you whack them up.
Whack that
or
up,
you get whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Don't talk. I do the whacking. You don't whack my cutlets. I whack my cutlet.
Yeah, of course. I like it. Speaking of VG. All right. Let's get back to it because joining us is I love it.
Yes.
This portion of the program brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY to find the credit union difference. And let's see. Does he have champagne still in his hair? He is
we can
the
smell it from
great
here.
Todd Zolecki. We love Todd. Todd, MLB.com. Todd, I love covering those things. Like the whole thing's wrapped up and you walk in and it's a party, man. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I have now become old, where I try my best to stay out of the fray. So I got you get some shrapnel, some collateral damage from the champagne and the beer, but I came out of it in okay shape. The only thing I did have to take a shower when I got home. I had to throw all my clothes in the laundry bin. But the worst of it actually was the cigar smoke. So I walked out of there and just cigar smoke just baked into my clothes and hair. And I do have a cigar every once in a while. I have not had a cigar in years, though, because the last time I had a cigar, guys, I was at a buddy's wedding, a very high class affair. And I smoked this really nice cigar way too fast, and I got so sick. It was unbelievable. That's how unmanly I am. So I've been scared off of cigars.
That's no joke.
We've been there.
Did you wear Crocs last night? What's the shoe wear last night?
I just wore my regular stuff, so I'm gonna have to go over and clean it off clean them off today because So I don't change. I don't put on a poncho because I have found it. If you stay on the periphery and you kind of go in at certain spots to grab an interview, you can be okay. So I've survived it.
You know what I have? I have champagne corks from the 2008 World Series.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I went and picked.
Yeah, those are cool.
Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to pick a couple up. I'm like, I gotta
of
get
course.
that. I think I also have a bottle from the NLCS in LA.
Wow.
Yeah,
you were at that one in 2008? You were at that one
there.
in 2008?
I was
cool.
there.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, if you remember, at the end, during the celebration, there was a small cadre of Phillies fans that had gathered behind home plate. And during the celebration, I was with Charlie. We were out there, and everybody's freaking out. It was awesome. One of the greatest moments ever was the Victorino home run and stairs into the night.
Oh my God. I think of that stairs home run, and I always tell people this: no matter how many times you see it on TV, it does not do that stairs home run justice. How high and how far into the stands in right field at Dodger Stadium, that's an absolute bomb. That's like Shohei Ohtani-esque, long before Shohei Ohtani. But that ball, when that was hit, everybody went, oh, because they knew it was gone.
Do you remember the Victorino home run gets overlooked? It lipped into the bullpen, and the building just went quiet, death quiet when Victorino hit that home run.
Yeah, that was a tremendous moment as well. You think about just everything that set up that inning, and then Stairs hitting it off Broxton, and then you think back to the NLCS in 2009 when Broxton has another big moment, and then J-Roll hits that double into the gap in right center field, and they have the walk-off. I think that was also in Game 4 of the NLCS. So who knows? Maybe it'll be Dodgers Phillies again in the NLCS this year.
We were talking about it. I want to see it. I think it's a battle of heavyweight, man. That's Ali Frazier. I mean, that's one of the those two teams go at it would be awesome.
And just Ohtani, to the Ohtani factor, having him involved after not making the playoffs all those years in Anaheim, that would be amazing. And just the attention, that is the matchup that MLB would love to have. I mean, I guess I could also say maybe Mets Dodgers. They wouldn't mind having Mets Dodgers, but Phillies Dodgers for sure, the two best teams in the National League, squaring off with Ohtani in LA. That would be a lot of fun.
Hey, let's talk about the division title and what it means, because it's a big. I think it's a big deal. I go back and I can look at it. There's been 12 of them, right? It's in recent history. 76, 77, 78, 80, 83, 93, of course, 07 to 11, and 24. I mean, the droughts in between from 93 to 07, from 11 to today, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. You think of how long the Phillies have been around, and like their first from 1915 to 1950, they were a laughingstock in Major League Baseball. Bad owners, bad, everything. They would sell their top players routinely. So this is an organization that has not had a ton of success. Certainly before Harper and all those guys got there, it was they had a rough go for a decade there. But yeah, it's a huge deal to win a division. It's hard to win a division. It's hard to be good, over 162 game schedule. And, I think a lot those players in there last night, they appreciated it. Nobody appreciated it probably more than Aaron Nola. Think of him getting drafted in whatever it was, 2015, 2014, Ruben's right at the end of Ruben Amaro Jr.'s run there. And he saw a lot of really bad baseball. He saw a lot of losing, and to have him on the mound, I thought was really fitting to be in that clinching situation, give them their first division title.
You're so right. You're so right. I love the fact that Nola was on the mound. It was apropos.
Yeah, it's cool.
And what were the stats about Nola in clinching games? You probably got it from Todd.
Seven clinching games, 44.1 innings pitched, a 1.62 ERA with 46 Ks and 7 walks.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's funny too, but right, because Nola, Cole Hamels was kind of treated the same way. Anytime he had a bad game, he got crushed for it. And anytime Nola struggles, and he's going to give up his home runs, and he's had some bad games in the postseason. He's also had some really good games in the postseason. He's also had some really good, obviously, you just mentioned the stats, really great performances in clinching situations. He's a really good pitcher. Is he Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer in their prime? No. But there's a reason why he got a $172 million contract in the offseason, and there are 29 other teams in baseball that would love to have them have him in their rotation right now. I mean, he's a really, really good pitcher, and the Phillies' chances of winning the World Series are, due in part because they have a great rotation, and Aaron Nola is a big part of that.
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about Topper, because we spent a lot of the early part of the show talking about him, and a lot of ways, like this season is a testimony to what he's done, right? To be able to create a culture for them to succeed. And the way it's going too, right? They made it a point to say, we got to get off to a hot start. They got off to a torrid start. They hit the dip. I remember hearing Dombrowski say that it was really interesting to see how they would get out of that dip, right? And
right.
Rob Thompson has navigated and provided a culture to help them kind of go through the whole thing. Like, this season is a gem of a season.
It is a gem of a season, and he does play a big part of that. And sometimes it drives fans crazy, but he has placed it. He creates a great culture in that clubhouse. The players love him, just like they love Charlie. I would love. It'd be great to see. Like a Ryan Howard or Chase Utley have played for Rob Thompson. I would love to know what their perspective of him they have of Rob Thompson. But these Phillies have a similar feeling that those Phillies had for Charlie Manuel. He's created a tremendous culture there, and he takes his bullets from fans and from reporters and talk radio and whatnot. I think back to maybe it was like 3-4 weeks ago. Remember that when at Sunday afternoon, it was the 9th inning and Bryce got the day off and JT got the day off and Rob did not pinch hit either one of them. And he kind of said, I'm looking long-term here. I'm looking long-term here. He's like, this guy doesn't want it enough. He's a bum. right. And turns out he was looking. I'm sure you guys. I don't know who on here was saying it, but I'm sure one of you guys.
It wasn't me, Todd.
Right?
It was not me.
Yeah. So Ant was doing it. You're killing Rob. Yeah. Okay. So, but I totally get it. But the thing
I was killing that decision. I've always liked Rob. I was killing that decision.
No. I know.
I thought come on, man. Like you need the way they were floundering at the time. You needed Bryce to take a swing. I mean, I've always thought the two decisions. Listen, we're talking about him, and I think the guy. I love. He reminds me of Charlie, and the same thing about the culture. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about him today, because I think it's important. The only two things that I disagreed with, really vehemently, that was a minor one, but the Wheeler in the World Series, like taking Wheeler out was one that I just did not like.
Yeah, and I think that's a mistake that a move he would not make again. But going back to that Sunday afternoon, Harper was banged up, JT was banged up, and they basically, he basically just took. He's like, I'm going to think long term here. I don't want to send them out, hurt them, get them injured, whatever the case may be. When he gives guys a day off, he wants to make sure they have the whole day off. I think he remembers that from his time with Joe Torre and with the Yankees. When Joe Torre would tell a player, I'm giving you a day off, he would give them the whole day off. And I think he kind of follows that model. And he took a bullet for it. And then later it came out that Harper was banged up and he had the elbow and the wrist thing going. So it's like, oh, okay, kind of that makes sense. But it also, and it reminds me of a time years ago.
Who broke that story, Todd?
Yeah.
Nice work.
It reminds me of a story years ago, and nobody's going to remember this, but there was a game during Charlie's tenure when John Lieber was in a situation and he swung away, and I think he might have grounded into a double play to kill a rally. They lost the game. And afterwards, Charlie, for some reason, was asked about it. He's like, he had the green light there to swing away. I had no problem with him swinging away. And he got absolutely murdered for it. This guy is dope. This guy's a moron. And it turns out that John Lieber blew the sign. He wasn't supposed to swing, but he was sticking up for his player, and he took the shrapnel for his pitcher, John Lieber. Rob Thompson's the same type of guy, and that stuff matters. That stuff matters over the course of the season. The players they want to feel like the manager has their back.
It's
yeah,
trust.
Absolutely. And it's like, do you want to work for a boss that throws you under the bus all the time, wherever you are? If you're an athlete, if you work in a regular office 9-to-5 job, do you want to have a boss that throws you under the bus, that rips you all the time? Or do you want to have a boss that's pretty even keeled? If you screw up, he's going to tell you screwed up, but he's not going to scream at you. And then you go, oh, I respect that guy. And that's what these guys have in Rob Thompson.
Yeah. And again, you look at the clubhouse and it's such a tight knit. We talk about it a lot, but it's the truth. Like, you look at Schwarber and how he's the glue to that thing, and how everybody, Estevez comes in and goes, oh my God, this place is amazing. It's like a family. And that's all the nucleus of that club, led by Schwarber and Topper.
Yeah, it is a great clubhouse. They do have a great family vibe there. It was fun after the game. All the families were on the field. The kids were running around. A lot of little kids right now in this current Phillies team. And, it's just kind of fun to watch. You have I don't know whose mom it was. It might've been an aunt, might've been somebody, went up to Bryce Harper and got a photo with Bryce, and Bryce is taking photos with other family members and stuff like that. It's a really cool vibe that they have. They really pull for one another. And again, going back to Rob Thompson, that stuff matters. You go through bad times, and instead of a player ripping another player in the clubhouse or blaming somebody or coming out and making a comment publicly about, well, how am I supposed to win games when this offense strikes out 16 times a game? They have each other's back, and that kind of that camaraderie, I think they believe will help them in the postseason. If they get down big, somebody commits an error, somebody strikes out in a big spot, that they can overcome it.
I mean, do you think, from the outsider, it looks like this unique, special clubhouse? You've been around a lot of clubhouses. Is there something unique going on in there?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. And it's the 08. I mean, the 08 team was very tight, but this is different. And I don't know if it's a generational thing in that these guys all grew up. I say grow up. They didn't really all grow up with social media, but it's so entrenched in their life in the day to day. I feel like they're just more comfortable being out there and expressing themselves and. But even privately,
I don't remember so much dancing in clubhouses.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's funny. That's something that would not have, I think I'm sure they played music in 08 and 2007 to 11.
Yeah, Chase,
imagine walking into that clubhouse.
Yeah, Chase wasn't dancing. No.
Chase was not dancing. He was smoking cigars and drinking and pouring champagne and whatnot. But that team certainly was close. But this team does have a different vibe. And I think that vibe comes through the TV.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so many fans have connected to this team. And that's why, dancing on my own became a thing, because they thought that was cool. And so fans started playing that at home and in their cars. And, at house parties after Phillies won playoff games, and they got a new playlist out right now, and fans are finding that so they can play it. So like there is a real connection, I think, with this team that there wasn't that they didn't have in 08. I think just because maybe the technology wasn't there almost to have it in 08. It would have been interesting though, if that connection would have been the same had that, had you had social media and had the ability to find like music and all that stuff.
What's interesting is when you look at them, right? And you look at that ballpark, it's like the happiest place on earth. The vibes inside that ballpark are just great. I don't know what it is, but I do believe in a building having vibes. That place is just a great, happy place.
And we do have a chief vibes officer. Your boy Stubbs.
Yeah, Stubby, baby. And I'm going to say this about Citizens Bank Park. I've had enough people come through, reporters, scouts, other, executives from other teams, and they all say the same thing. Man, I've been to playoff games at Yankee Stadium. I've been to playoff games at Fenway Park, but this place is the best. And here's how I kind of describe it. Every ballpark gets loud in the postseason. So if you go to Petco Park and they're playing the Dodgers and they get big up on the Dodgers, it's going to be maybe as loud as Citizens Bank Park, maybe not, maybe just a hair under. But I think the difference at Citizens Bank Park compared to the other 29 ballparks is if Kyle Schwarber is grinding out a 9-10 pitch at bat, you're going to hear that roar escalate pitch to pitch to pitch to pitch, where I don't think you get that in other places. I don't think you're going to get that constant roar, that constant buzz that you do in other parks that you do at Citizens Bank Park. And that's what I think sets this place apart from the other parks. Again, if the Phillies play the Brewers in the NLCS, American Family Field, if Rhys Hoskins hits a home run, it's going to be deafening in there, no doubt. But it's not going to be that consistent buzz that it is in Philly constantly.
Dude, I never forget 2 years ago during the run, I sat down with A-Rod and he's like, "Dude, man, you gotta get me on your show." This is Louch Rodriguez, because I want to tell these people how much I love them and how much I wish I could have played in front of these people. Like he couldn't believe it. When he was in the outfield, he's like, "Oh my goodness," Fox set up shop out there. He's like, "This is unbelievable." He couldn't understand it. Never saw it. And listen, the old Yankee Stadium, you and I were there. I mean, it was a great place to play the playoffs.
Sure. Yeah. But this place is different. I think fans just want it so bad. And I think they appreciate it. And I think they know baseball. And I think now they've heard enough people say, Rob Thompson said that coach told him after opposing coach after 2022, 4 hours of hell. And now I think they want to live up to it. So it is cool. It's cool to see everybody in Philly live up to their rep in a good way.
Yeah, it really is. I love it. Todd, you're the best, buddy. What do you expect tonight? A very ragtag lineup tonight? And then go back at it the rest of the week?
You know what? That's going to be interesting. I don't know if they're going to do that. The magic number to clinch home field or the bye is 2. So I could see them maybe running guys out there until they clinch that bye, and then you're going to see some different lineups. But Tanner Banks is going to start tonight. That's going to be a bullpen game.
Yeah. I mean, listen, number 1 overall seed is still a big deal, man. You get a home field against the Dodgers.
Well, what's interesting though is that Rob says he just wants to get the bye, and if you can get the number 1 seed, that's great. But he says he's not going to put people in harm's way. So I almost feel like once they get the bye, if they can get the number 1 seed, that's a bonus. But I think you're going to see guys like Harper get a couple of days off, maybe. Wheeler's going to get dialed back on side. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they play it out the rest of the way.
Yeah, you're the best, buddy. We love you. You know that. Keep up the great work.
Thanks.
Looking forward to a big red October, brother. Go to the office.
Yeah, see you guys. Had fun.
Todd Zolecki. Todd.
I'm curious, like days off, even though they get the bye week. Like you'll have a week off with the bye. You would think he'd play them out.
Well, I don't know.
Top right trust.
Listen, I mean, at this point, you have to get the bye.
Yeah,
I would like to get the home field, but I mean, listen, he knows his players and getting them ready. The only thing that scares me is what Ruben said, and that's when you go through this kind of thing, right, where you're off for a little bit, what happens to the bats? You brought it up early.
Yeah,
that's really it. But look, I think it's going to be a great run, man. They're set up nice. The only thing that scares me right now is your third starter.
Yeah, we'll see. What
I think Sanchez is enough. I do.
Well, as long as you pitch him at home.
Yeah,
because I think that's a big deal. All right, let's go on some nugs and the chat. How's our chat?
I got one special chat I got to mention to you. Oh, man. Somebody was a listener. Here we go. Curtis from Overbrook.
Oh, Curtis.
7 years ago on your morning show, I told you on air I wanted to be a deacon. Well, now I'm a walking deacon in my church.
Dude.
Please share with Anthony. He's Deacon Bazemore. Yeah.
I love Curtis. Yeah. One of the great people.
That's awesome.
One of the things I love about doing shows and radio, especially because I met so many people, is just the warmth of meeting so many great people in the Delaware Valley.
It's a community.
Curtis, God bless you, man. You're doing God's work for real, and you belong it. He's terrific.
That.
Yeah. So Phil's... We didn't know we'd have Nugs ready enough time, so we're a little behind. But the Phil's released a hype video, I think. I haven't seen it. It just came out like an hour ago with featuring
Kruk. Trying to watch it.
So I don't know what it's going to sound like. I imagine it's good. Some people have said it's good.
It's Kruk, man.
It's Kruk. Those should be fun, I think.
In Kruk we trust.
There's no place like Philadelphia in October.
Line drive to right field. He is the hero.
That was a Tuesday in June, though.
And a high fly ball to deep right field. Gone! It has erupted here at Citizens Bank Park. Listen to this.
That's a weekday in May.
The 0-1 pitch.
Right back at him. Fires, and it's a shutout for Suarez.
That's April.
It is gone! Grand slam, Trey Turner!
I mean, it has been like this all season.
And JT gets one again, and the Phillies beat the Mets on a walk-off.
So how's October going to be at the bank this year? That's up to y'all, man. But I have a feeling what it's going to look like. Red October, baby.
Yeah, I got goosebumps. I'm ready.
Yeah,
let's
good,
go.
Man.
I'm ready, cuz.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, cuz. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Red October.
I can't wait, dude. I just cannot wait. Baseball playoffs are the best.
Yeah.
Because then you got games all day in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I look at the weather. We're going to dip into the 50s at night. Ooh. That's good baseball, man. October.
Yeah, but hearing that
my
roar,
favorite month.
Hearing that roar after just a strike. That's the best part about it, too. I love hearing the roars from the crowds.
Yeah, walking. I have such fond memories. Like when you're walking to the stadium, walking to the game, walk to the park,
feel the vibe,
and everybody's out, and it's there. It's fantastic.
Let's go Phillies.
Big game, yeah. Let's go Phillies. Get pumped up.
Yeah, I'm going down tonight.
You are
kind of a clunker game.
Yeah, I'll be there with you.
Yeah,
I'll be down there, yeah.
A lot of hungover people today.
Nice.
Hey, there's a Marsh Bowman Stott. Apparently, they posed the same way for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
for the
I saw this
photo posted in picture. So that's them.
They also
over the
haven't
past
changed
3
much
years
as
yeah,
well.
Yeah. The bottom one's the most recent. The top one, I think.
Bryson too,
the
though.
oldest. Yeah,
I like that.
They're having fun, those guys.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
There's also a good photo going around of, it's rough down there for the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, usually a cool guy, a little stressed out. There's a meme going around of Mike McDaniel without Tua.
No.
Oh, my
That looks
God.
just like him. It is ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
It looks just like him. Oh, that's hysterical.
That guy hangs out by the docks too much.
Yeah. I was like, is that him Photoshop? I don't think it is. I think
That's
it's
the
just
Everglades Mike McDaniel.
That's Manatee Mike.
Manatee
Dolphin
Mike. That's awesome.
Dude, that's good. That's a good one.
E-Rock from Cheap Seats here on PHLY. He was
the
down
best,
in the
man.
building. He took a video. The Superdome was trolling Eagle fans on the video screen.
Really?
Yeah, pulling out all the old cliches.
Boo and Santa?
Oh, fuck off.
They tend to have championship celebrations. They show a Philly with some fires. There's championship celebrations. They show vandalism. The Eagles fictional statues. They make fun of Rocky and other fictional statues.
Oh, really?
They show all this during the game to troll Eagle fans.
Get out. Meanwhile, the Superdome was a quarter to a third of all Eagle fans.
A lot of green there, cuz. A lot of green.
We travel.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I know you don't love black uniforms if it's not necessarily part of the
color?
team's color. The Lions review showed their black uniforms for Monday Night Football.
Again?
I think they're pretty badass.
Those are good.
Oh, those are sweet.
Yeah.
Better than the 04 ones.
I love the helmet too.
Yeah. It's a color scheme.
The black
Or
line.
we might have to change Westchester University this color scheme.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Because that.
I'm out.
We can make the colors.
That's not who they are. It's not their color.
It's fierce.
And it only looks better because the way it's shot. It's really about the photography that makes it. It's not their color.
That's going to look good on Monday night.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody loves it. I'm out. Everybody else loves it. I like the traditional. I like it's their colors.
I do like that the Lions uniforms this year, it's like a little bit of an homage to like the Barry Sanders days. They look very simple look.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah,
Stripes.
listen, they're nasty. Hey, do we have to worry about Washington?
Nah.
We'll find out.
No.
Nah.
I mean, I'm not telling you they're going to win a division, but the quarterback's pretty good.
I'll say this.
Next
year.
I think Dallas has to worry about them.
Yeah, for sure. But who's
Well, I mean, worry. I mean, not that it's going to be, but you got 2 games against them.
besides Terry McLaurin? Who else is scaring you on that offense? I mean, Ertz
Dude,
is
I
on
got to
his-
tell you, I know, no, and he was no Yak Zach again, but I got to tell you, Noah Brown caught some big passes for them. The kid could play.
He can play.
Eckler did get hurt.
And they got two guys who can run the ball.
When they drafted him, I was.
I mean, Eckler looked good last night.
Yeah, but he got hurt.
Yeah, I know.
And he's injury prone.
We'll get back. I mean, no, again, I'm not telling you that all of a sudden I think Washington's a favorite. I'm just saying that you now have to worry about their 2 games against them.
Yeah.
Maybe go 1-1.
Well, then that's a worry.
Oh, I figured they would split with them. No, yeah.
I thought like I had them splitting before this.
Yeah.
Season.
Did
I
you?
think I had them sweeping the Giants, splitting the Cowboys and the Commanders.
Yes.
Do you have to worry
That
about the
feels good.
Giants? Did they find their groove last week?
No.
I don't believe in them.
I thought they would beat the Browns though.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't think they.
I mean, the
I didn't think
Browns
they beat the
are
Browns
kind of-
in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't care how bad Deshaun Watson is.
The vibes aren't good there, and the Giants needed that.
Cleveland's got
The
good
Giants
defense,
stink.
though. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, they got one player, they got neighbors. Actually, it was weird because Daniel Jones actually played well against that defense.
Brian Dable's still a
Miles
good coach.
Garrett being out kills them.
Yeah.
Brian Dable's still a good coach.
He is a good coach, but their roster blows.
They'll get a win here and there
They
like that.
stink. They do get out of the Giants. They
I'm not saying
stink.
they're going to win the
No,
division, but they're
you're
going to
all
win
Giant
here and
up.
there.
Forget the Giants. Giants stink, JP.
JP Giants.
Call me Big Blue. JP
Yeah,
over
really.
there.
You guys, don't you got relatives in North Jersey?
Listen,
I
Colombians
think you're onto
never leave New
something
York.
here.
All right, we all
Yeah, see?
you're on to something.
That's
here.
it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got a
He's
soft spot.
sympathizer. He's a
Oh,
sympathizer.
you're out.
He even with that clogged nose, he sniffed that out.
I sniffed that out left her. Dude, I can't even go 3 seconds without trying to sneeze.
Been a rough day
I feel
for
It
you.
has been a horrible couple days here at the PHLY studios.
Mold Center.
You got me working over
This is
here.
the Mold Center.
It's the International Mold Station.
Oh my God. I feel like my brain is itchy.
I feel you, cuz.
You got me on red alert over here with the button.
So I keep inside. I point to JP and I'll go like this, which means put the camera on VG and JP and get it off me. Is like when a sneeze, I go through a fit.
Real quick before we leave, I want to give a quick yo because I think that I know we kill Torts a lot.
For
in
what?
this-
To New York?
Let's give a quick yo to New York. I know we killed John Tortorella a lot in the city, but I thought what he did yesterday was phenomenal. And having Guy Goudreau, obviously, we know the story about Johnny Matt. Having Guy Goudreau in practice yesterday.
Yeah,
seems
having
like,
Guy there was a big deal.
yeah,
He's a
it's-
hockey guy, see?
Yeah.
God.
See, and it seems like they want him around more. I know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
if
they're
he
going to keep
does
him
it.
involved this year.
No,
Super cool.
God bless them.
Yeah,
And
good
I
work by
agree. Torts, big, strong by Torts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
Having
good
Guy
move.
Goudreau there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
big deal. Big deal.
Big deal.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Everybody, thanks for hanging. We love you. Red October all the way. This is our greatest time of the year. It's the best. Have a great day, everybody. We love you. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.